All right, 2024 Farm Progress Show, Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, talking with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig. Secretary, second day. It's been quite a show so far, hasn't it?
It's been, honestly, it's been a great show. Here we came off of 11 days of just an amazing state fair. And honestly, even though the forecast had been for some really hot temperatures, it's been pretty comfortable here. Winds moving a little bit, and it really been nice. Huge crowd today. And I just love being, this is, honestly, you could literally go up and down every single row here, see something different, something interesting, something new, and talk to a whole lot of folks. So I love being out here and love being able to showcase really the greatest and newest and innovative things that are happening in ag.
I know, and during the fair we heard a lot of talk about Farm Bill. You and I talked about it. Secretary Vilsack was here. GT Thompson was here today as well. What's kind of the message we got from them? Kind of still in that holding pattern, isn't it?
And you know, it's great. Our congressional delegation is around here. I just had a chance to catch Congressman Feenstra on a golf cart here, which is great, right? Even I'm looking for opportunities to talk. But you know, Congressman Feenstra and Congressman Nunn, who are on the agriculture committees, you know, they did their work. And GT Thompson, chairman, you know, they got a bill out. What needs to happen now, of course, is that the Senate needs to respond in like fashion. It's time for language to come out of the Senate Agriculture Committee. And you know, there's always a negotiation, but you've got to get the text out there and get going on it. So I remain, you know, hopeful that we can get something done. But you know, I think the reality is, of course, that the election is coming really quite quickly, but it would be nice if we could at least get the Senate version of this out so that work can be done, and when the negotiation happens, that you're not just starting, you know, at square one, that you've been working on that. So I think GT gave some indication that there's reason to be hopeful that that can come together. But the House did its job. We need the Senate to respond in like fashion.
And one thing I think people have a hard time realizing is when you have like Secretary Vilsack out here, he can advocate to get it done, no matter which side of the political aisle you're on. The Secretary can advocate for it, but it's not their baby to deliver. It's up to the Congress to come together to do it.
It really is. This is a congressional job. Of course, lots of us have opinions on what it should be and what we think it should be, but there's a process. There's just a process that's got to occur. And you know, the other piece that I'm trying to stress to folks is, you know, the farm bills are always bipartisan. They're always going to have to be bipartisan. It doesn't matter if it's this Congress or next Congress. You know, there's going to have to be a coming together and a negotiation to find the right spot. Oftentimes, farm bills are actually kind of regions or different crops or different backgrounds, you know, kind of fighting against each other. And you know, that's just part of the process. It's actually a good process. Chairman Thompson, you know, he made a great point about, you know, they've held over 90 field trials or listening sessions, you know, out and about, field hearings, I should say, you know, asking people, what do you want? What are your ideas? They've been all over the country. That's how a bill should be written. That's the congressional process. And again, our delegation's been fighting hard. Congressman Hinson and Nunn and Feenstra and Marinette Miller-Meeks and Ernst and Grassley. I mean, we've had chances to get priorities for Iowa injected into these bills, and again, we just need to see the wheels move now. Let's get it done. With all there's a lot of uncertainty in ag, right? Softness in the economy. There's questions about, you know, next year, but this is something that could actually bring certainty to the farm and to our business planning. And so let's get on with it.
Outside of Farm Bill, I'm sure you're probably hearing a lot about prices, crop conditions, things like that. And of course, government can't set the prices. We know that.
No.
But you know, there's a lot of concern with it. But the thing is, we're looking at the fact, yes, the prices are getting a little lower, but the crops are looking phenomenal out here. We've mentioned even in the northern part of the state where flooding has been a problem, where it hasn't been washed out, it still looks pretty good up there.
You know, I was just reminded by somebody that it's bushels times price equals, you know, revenue, right? And you can play with that equation, but it roughly works out the same every year. And so, you know, certainly you're trying to push yield, of course. Look, you know, we've talked about this throughout the year. It's just there's variability. I am hearing from, you know, it was at the fair and then also here at the Progress Show that folks are kind of telling me that it feels like crop was running out of moisture a little bit in some places. And now we've had some rains here and there that here we are at the end of August already, but it might be the finishing touches on a crop. I think all indications are we're sitting on a large crop. We're already sitting on a carryout from last year that's significant. So, I mean, yes, thinking about those crop conditions, but I think there's a lot of folks thinking about, we've got a large supply. What are we going to do with this? And how are we doing on the demand side of the equation?
Of course, now getting back to the whole show in general, how important is it for Iowa to showcase? I mean, yes, we share with Illinois, but you're talking about two big ag-producing states. And how important is it to make sure that this site still stays here every 2 years for the Farm Progress Show?
Well, of course, I'm biased, and I think that the Boone site and the Iowa show is always better. But you know what? I go to Decatur as well. I love the show, and they do such a nice job. Both locations, very, very professional, professionally done. Great venues to do these things. But look, I like to stress this is the Farm Progress Show. Emphasis on the word progress. I don't know that people always, especially outside of agriculture, always give us credit for the innovative nature of ag. But this is a great example of where you literally drive and walk up and down these aisles, and it's the next version, it's the latest variety, it's the new hybrid. We're sort of hardwired in our DNA in ag to say, well, how are we going to do it better next year? And of course, we know that and get to see that all the time, but I think it's great just to, this is really a testament to that. The whole notion of the show is about what's new this year, or in the case of our farm, the equipment that we might get to farm with 12 or 15 years from now, but anyway, I just do think that it's a testament to that, and a recognition that it takes a lot of investment on the part of the ag community and ag businesses in order to deliver those tools to farmers.
Yeah, it's definitely been a thing where we're talking about the new technologies, but a lot of these companies realizing the situation farmers are in right now and realizing they're not going to be able to adopt everything at once. So working with them to either maybe bring up some with aftermarket equipment, bring up some stuff to help bring people into the next steps of conservation and automation and whatever have you. But they're realizing that this is not going to be something they're going to be able to chomp off at one bite. And so they're really talking about that. Let's see where you need to make the first step and then go from there.
It's interesting. And I kind of ask these questions when it's really good for me. I say, well, tell me about what's going on. How's the company doing? How are you selling? How are you talking to folks? What are the questions you're getting? It is interesting that because margins are tighter, right? Salespeople aren't as much, they're not just order takers now. There's got to be a value proposition for farmers, and that folks are really trying to play the margins, looking for the edge. And they're not big things that you're doing. You're trying to add up a lot of small things that really do total up. So what is it about compaction and infiltration and precision tools and better nitrogen management, the latest genetics, all of those things combined, biologicals, right? What about those types of things? And how do I layer all of that together to give myself some sort of an advantage? But really, I think it's actually healthy for us to be talking about, well, what's the value proposition? What's the price? And is it worth it to me? What's my ROI? And I do think you've got, just by the nature of the economics of agriculture right now, a lot of folks asking the right questions, and a company's having to really try to meet that demand.
As you mentioned earlier, last couple of weeks, Iowa's really been on the showcase for agriculture. I know we had the Super Bowl of Iowa Ag. Now, I would call this the World Series, maybe.
Let's call it that.
Everybody from around the world here to Iowa really does showcase what it's about for us.
It is, and it's fun. You walk up and down these road streets, and you're hearing other languages, you're hearing accents. Truly, people really are coming, but we're proud of that. But we also we have a responsibility, right? I was just at the Iowa State, tent, and looking at all of the basic research that's going on, the innovative tools there that then spill out into to industry. We can't take our eyes off of that. People do view us as leaders. They come from around the world to see how we do things. Let's not forget that. Let's never take that for granted. Let's make sure that we are always looking ahead, and that we can get tools from the discovery phase into the hands of our farmers so that they can benefit from a productivity and a profitability standpoint. Those are some of the policy pieces and the regulatory pieces that then start to filter into this as well.
All right, well, Secretary, I know you want to get around and finish up some of the show today, but thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk with us.
Always great to talk.